Okay, picture this. It's 2026, the Grammys. And the biggest award of the night, Album of the Year, goes to an artist who pretty much tore up the rule book. We're talking about Bad Bunny, of course. So how did this happen? In this explainer, we're going to get into the absolutely wild story of how he went from a local hero to, well, a global king.
And when he got up on that stage to accept that historic award, his first thought wasn't about himself. Nope, it was about his home. This quote, it says everything about him, doesn't it? He's an artist who, no matter how famous he gets, is always tied to his roots. So that's the big question, right? How in the world does a grocery bagger from Vega Baja, Puerto Rico, end up on the biggest stage in all of music? Really, think about it. How do you go from that to that? Well, let's get into it.
All right, first up, bagger to global star. Yeah, you heard that right. We're going from SoundCloud to sold-out stadiums. Our story kicks off in a pretty unexpected place, a supermarket.
See, before the world knew Bad Bunny, there was just Benito Antonio Martínez Ocasio. He was just a regular kid from a working-class family. His dad was a truck driver, his mom a school teacher. He loved music, sure, he even sang in the church choir, but his day-to-day, he was bagging groceries at the local supermarket to pay for college. It's just such a humble start for someone who would become a global icon.
So, where did the name Bad Bunny even come from? Well, it's not some slick marketing team creation. Not at all. It actually comes from this old childhood photo where he was forced to wear a bunny costume for school, and he looked absolutely furious. He literally took that angry kid energy, that Bad Bunny vibe, and spun it into a worldwide brand. You gotta love that. And his rise to fame, it was just unbelievably fast. Think about it. He's still working that grocery store job, uploading his own tracks to SoundCloud on the side. Then in 2016, boom, his song Dialis goes viral. A producer signs him, and just a year after that, he's dropping hits with huge stars like Karl G and J Balvin. The whole thing was absolutely meteoric. Okay, but a rise that fast isn't just luck. It was about something more. It was about his philosophy. I do what I want. He was literally forging a new sound.
So you have to understand, he came up in reggaeton and Latin trap, and a lot of that world was and is built on machismo, this kind of tough guy, hyper-masculine vibe. But Benito, he just refused to play by those rules. He started blending everything, trap, pop, rock, hip-hop, you name it. And his lyrics, they weren't the usual stuff. He was talking about self-love, about feeling vulnerable, about social issues. He wasn't just making bangers, He was totally changing the game.
And if you need any more proof, look no further than his 2020 album title, YHLQMDLG. It stands for Yo Hago Lo Que Me Da La Gana, which basically translates to I do whatever I want. It doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? It was a massive statement. His authenticity, that was his superpower, for sure.
But here's the thing about that I do what I want attitude. It was always backed up by this really powerful message of positivity. Here's another bit from one of his Grammy speeches. In a world that's so full of hate, his whole thing was about love. That became just as much a part of his brand as the rebellion. Which leads us to our next point. This was always about way more than just music. He became a voice for a whole generation. He just completely redefined masculinity, especially in a culture that can be so rigid. Think about it. He painted his nails. He wore skirts. He appeared in full drag in a music video. He was the first man to be on the cover of Playboy, other than Hugh Hefner himself. Every single one of those moves was sending a crystal clear message. Be who you are, no apologies. And man, was he a powerful voice for Puerto Rico. After Hurricane Maria hit, he didn't just tweet about it, he started the Good Bunny Foundation. He called out the U.S. government's response. And get this, when a huge political scandal erupted, he literally paused his European tour, flew back home, and joined the massive protests in the streets. He released a protest song. He put everything on the line for his people. He's also been a huge, outspoken supporter of LGBTQ+ rights. He would use his biggest moments on TV, at award shows, to call out homophobia and to celebrate inclusivity. That famous onstage kiss with a male dancer, that wasn't just a random moment. It was a massive, deliberate statement in a culture where that's still a really big deal. So you take this unique sound, you add this powerful voice, and what do you get? A full-blown phenomenon. And now let's talk about the numbers, because honestly, they're just insane. Okay, let's start with this one, number 1, as in the most streamed artist on Spotify in the entire world. Not just for a year, for 3 years in a row. Just try to wrap your head around that level of dominance. But, with that kind of money and fame, things get complicated. He also faced a massive $40 million lawsuit from an ex-girlfriend for using a voice recording of her on some of his big hits. It's a pretty intense reminder that success on this scale is never simple.
But the historic firsts just kept piling up. Check this out. His album El Último Tour del Mundo was the first all-Spanish album to ever hit #1 on the main US Billboard chart. I mean, ever. He didn't just break a record, he completely shattered a language barrier that had been there forever.
And then he did it again. In 2022, he wins Artist of the Year at the MTV VMAs, again, the first non-English language artist to ever do it. It was another one of those moments where the entire music industry basically had to sit up and realize, okay, the rules have changed.
And when you lay it all out like this, man, the trophy case is just overflowing. You've got multiple Grammys for Best Música Urbana Album, a ton of Latin Grammys, that VMA for Artist of the Year, but it all builds to this one moment, right? That 2026 Album of the Year win. That's the ultimate prize for an artist who did it all his way. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, it's incredible. You go from Benito, a kid just freestyling for his friends, to Bad Bunny, a true global icon. And the one constant through it all was his authenticity. He didn't win by changing to fit the industry. He won by forcing the industry to change for him. So that leaves us with one last big question. He did what he wanted. He completely changed the game. He reached the absolute top of the mountain. So, what's next? What do you do for an encore when you've already changed the world?